We've got, yes, from Miko T. So, did you get the whole thing with audio on that laptop working?
I did indeed.
Sweet. So, Miko said, what's your opinion on Palia? MMO by ex-Blizzard Riot devs announced yesterday. Seems like everything you ask for. And wow, that's a fun one. So, I've watched the trailer. It looks gorgeous. I think for what that kind of game is trying to go for. Really nice. I'm interested in like how much of that right now with Palia is asset packs versus stuff made in-house. I don't mean that, by the way, in a derogatory way. Like seriously, asset packs are fucking awesome. They help. Okay, so asset packs for like us, it's mostly stuff like Dotween for the game that we're making.
Yes.
But you see those games where like you're making a big game, you just need a bunch of art and all of that stuff. I mean, you guys wouldn't believe how many instances there have been and still are of developers spending hundreds of thousands, millions making assets, making fucking trees and grass textures and shit. And then it ends up taking them, if they don't like gray box their gameplay early enough, they end up in this situation where they've got all of these art assets, but no friggin' game. So often, really, the more savvy developers will basically kit bash as much as they can with asset packs and stuff. Let their visual people do that off in a corner while they get the gameplay going. And it was just funny. There was like a few things in the Palia trailer I thought, is this like some of the most intelligent kit bashing I've seen, plus them really doing unique assets where it counts? Not 100% sure, but certainly I was left with a very positive impression from the Palia trailer.
Yeah, I've not watched it. I think I saw you look at some of it. Was it yesterday or earlier? Whatever it was.
Yesterday.
I remember saying that looks really comfy and it's almost like a striking resemblance to the, how do I put this? Almost like the zeitgeist of things, because it kind of has that wholesome game vibe to it in a really big way. It's kind of like a more wholesome, almost like, I don't want to say literally bloom covered, but it's that kind of vibe where it's all, your eyes sort of glaze over, like, I'm comfy now.
Yeah.
Like a warmer sort of Fortnite, in a sense.
Yeah.
Which maybe, might come across as a bad comparison, but it's that kind of really cartoony and pleasant style that I think, like, everything seems to be moving in sort of that way, almost as a, we just spent like 10, 20 years making brown games where we shoot each other, so
yeah. Oh man, it was all just brown and gray, washed out, gritty shit, and now we've got like vibrant, saturated, rich looking stuff. So that's just being on the Palia trailer, just in case people haven't seen. Yeah, it's totally different game to World of Warcraft.
Yeah, so I will have one slide warning. We don't have headphones here, so my MacBook speakers will be playing this. I'll try to get volume levels right so the mic doesn't pick up too much. I can just mute this if need be, but
maybe feel free to mute it. I've already seen it unless you want to.
So here, before you continue to YouTube, I'm not going to sign in. No. Hello.
There we go. So Palia, bunch of, I think it's Ex-Riot on the founding team, but the staff does include ex-Blizzard people. One thing. Depth of field. You can use depth of field to make shit look awesome in a trailer. But with some of these, you can tell that like.
1 second. 1 second. I apologize.
Oh, we
capture cards done a whoopsie.
Capture cards done a whoopsie.
What a surprise! Yep.
Awesome.
Solve that very, very, very briefly. Never just one day.
It's that thing where like so many of the shots in this trailer just look so.
There we go.
They look so like bits of concept art.
That's what we're looking at, everyone. Oh, that's hard. Okay. Whoops. There we go. Always test things.
Wow. That actually seems to have blasted people into the sun.
My apologies.
Yeah, it could probably.
It's been cut down.
Yeah. Oh yes, player housing shit. Yeah, let's go. I mean, hey,
Yep.
do you remember going to Val'Sharah and like just seeing all of the nice cozy things they made for those houses? Like imagine in WoW you just unlock that stuff and away you go. But people are saying it's still really loud. Just mute it. I think it's easiest. This is also overly choreographed looking, but neat end to the trailer.
Yep.
So
Very nice.
yeah, that is a situation with Palia. This is connected, right?
To what?
No, it's not connected.
This is my MacBook.
Yeah.
Please don't touch that.
That would be a big mistake.
That's the stream PC. Please don't touch that. Thank you.
Yeah, art style's gorgeous. I guess we just need to see what the gameplay. Someone
Yeah.
says it looks a little WildStar. Yeah, I can
Yeah,
see
as well.
little bits of WildStar in there.
Not as much fur as WildStar had.
Sure. But yeah, I think it's just doubling down on cozy. And like, I mean, come on, if you can do a time lapse like that in your trailer, people are going to clap.
Yeah,
Simple as that.
For sure.
It's that thing where, you know, right now so many of WoW's things, they are appealing to people who just, you know, are. It's like they're playing it like Path of Exile or something.
Yeah.
So, you know, a new feature, a new something, it's like it's numbers, it's systems, it's balance. Something like this sells itself in its own merits far easier because you just look at it visually and it completely makes sense. Now, some outstanding questions I've got about this game, things like what will the second-to-second gameplay be like?
Of course.
You know, what do you do? What are your larger goals? Stuff like that. But this is just an announcement trailer, so don't know yet.
Yeah, we're not going to see. I imagine we're not going to see much of that for a long, long time at this rate.
Now, there is another interesting thing here, which is I think an angle most people aren't really keeping tabs on. I am purely because I'm interested in the sort of scene.
Yeah.
But, so I think it's Andreessen Horowitz, who are one of, I think they might be the lead VC backing this company.
Oh,
But this is yet another example of venture capital getting into the game space and being able to fund seemingly quite large budgets for small and highly experienced teams.
Yeah.
This is happening in multiple instances. Okay, like with some of the Moorheim studios, the Dreamhaven stuff, like that's Moorheim kind of acting as a, as a publisher, as an angel investor. Who knows?
Definitely somewhere in the. I don't want to say in the middle, but they're definitely like taking a non-traditional role, I think.
Yeah. So there you go. The venture capitalists are funding metaverse shit, some MMO shit, stuff like that for the whole lot of us. So cheers, VCs. I'd rather you fund that than Facebook, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's actually the fun thing where they spent the past however many years VCs were going nuts over in Silicon Valley with everything that ended in like removing the vowel from a verb and just being caster, player, etc., etc.
Oh yeah,
all of those. And now they've turned their eyes to games properly, which I think we might be in for some like it's kind of something I was talking and thinking about a lot like a decent while ago when it came to it was whatever I can't remember what studio it was, but the dude who left and left a big company, was it EA or Activision maybe, and then started something new in Houston, I think. Started his own dev team there. I can't remember who it was. I think it was some FPS related stuff. But it was the idea of just all of these veteran devs. This is actually something we talked about the other day on the podcast, but like all of these veteran devs are going off and now these VCs are going, wait, video games bring in more money than than Twitter knockoffs? Holy shit, let's get in on that. So you're just going to see like all of these places that are cheaper than like LA, but also have all this VC interest. And you're going to see lots of stuff like this. We should call that era the Vile movement. Jesus Christ.
Nice.
Yeah, but we're going to see a lot of games like Palia and kind of all the things that hit. How do I put this? It's almost like a significantly more player interest and zeitgeist facing stuff as opposed to the focus group marketed things. Because obviously all the games we saw from the mid 2000s on followed this focus group thing of, first person shooters, brown, grey, all that stuff.
Yeah, make him feel super high budget, like a Michael Bay movie, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, but now we're moving into this VC inspired era where all these people are going, now we're tired of the industry, so we're going to do things more player focused.
Yeah.
So I think that's really promising, although I imagine we'll have the same issues we did with the VCs throwing money at every other bastard.
There'll be issues, but I guess it's less like a publisher trying to make a big budget blockbuster safe bet.
Yeah.
And with like the whole thing about the VC market is It's quite 80-20 principle of your fund performance. It's like, you know, the fund's overall performance is heavily weighted towards the outsized successes.
Yeah.
Therefore, I have to wonder if, you know, you're applying that thinking to the gaming space. Does that mean that VCs will be putting money into, I guess, more risky things, more risky, ambitious, different things? And I guess Palia could be kind of one of them. Like, I can't think of any super major MMO that's competing with this. I mean, perhaps EverQuest Next, if that still existed. If you remember Landfall or Landmark, whatever it was called.
Yeah, I remember what they were trying to do with that. I don't remember in detail. I just remember they were talking about like completely deformable terrain and stuff. And I was like, yeah, but I don't care.
Yeah.
But that was me a good while ago. But
yeah, so that's Palia. Good luck to them. More competition is better. And hopefully, you know, it's a bit like... Valheim comes out, does really well, whole industry learns a whole bunch of lessons.
Yeah.
You know, Destiny comes out, does pretty well, WoW learns a bunch of lessons from Destiny. So I'm kind of thinking, hopefully Palia comes out, does super, super well, and then it maybe helps Blizzard wake up to some of that more cozy content that perhaps people would like to do in progress outside of Raid or Mythic Plus Night, which I think could be big.
Yeah, it's especially for the audience stuff. So I think World of Warcraft could end up like losing a lot of audience to... Like, for the past couple of years, losing to the Path of Exiles, the Destinies, the ones that do the end game harder, so they've been, like, fighting back on that front really hard. But they've always, I feel like Blizzard have always thought they had those comfy, I enjoy this world players in the back pocket a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And maybe they just haven't seen abandonment yet from them. But as soon as games targeted to them start to appear, maybe the fear of God will be put into them then.
I guess the difference is going to be with Palia, it's not an established world, so that is going to drive people via social and via fantasy, whereas in Warcraft they're being driven by connection to the IP, love of the world, love of the lore.
Yeah.
Palia's doing it differently. I think word of mouth could be way more of a thing for a game like Palia than a game like World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
Because you know, you can share somebody. I think this is really quite important. A major part of game marketing is how giftable is your game. Now, I say that, you know, our first game, Pale Beyond, it is not a hyper giftable game.
Not at all.
I mean, it is pretty giftable at bits. Like, there's some cool stuff, and you like sort of zoom. You know, the zooming out stuff you've seen, but like that's not super giftable. But if you think about like comparing WoW to this, well, when we say giftable, you know, I'm talking about like Twitter, social spread, stuff like that.
So you can communicate the entire game or the joy of it in a couple of seconds.
Yeah. So with WoW, it's like Nerd Screams will do that. I think the way for WoW to market itself is probably on like that player experience thing.
Yeah.
But it's like you just see somebody like creating their homestead in that. That's super giftable. Bam, that's just going to pop. Go across the internet. Whereas here's some Mythic Plus gameplay. Here's some WoW raid gameplay. It's, you know, and I don't mean that as a way to knock those types of gameplay in WoW. It's just inherently, I think there's a more broad fantasy that this game's going to. Yeah. So that's why I'm really interested in how it does.